Are you afraid?
I'd worked the night shift as a custodian at Northwood High for almost 7 years. 7 years of empty halls, the rhythmic squeak of my mop, and the comforting hum of the ventilation system. It was a good job, quiet, predictable. I liked the solitude. You got used to the creaks and groans of an old building settling, the phantom drafts that would stir dust motes in the dim light. They were just part of the night shift's ambiance. My routine was a well-oiled machine. Start in the gym, work my way through the main academic wings, then finish up with the administrative offices and the library. I always locked myself in, of course. Not that there was much to steal at 3 in the morning, but it was protocol. Made me feel safer, I suppose. Just me and the sleeping school. The gym was always first. Buff the floors, clean the locker rooms. It was the biggest space. And getting it done early meant I could focus on the smaller, more detailed work. I'd usually have a podcast playing in one earbud, just to fill the silence. But one night, I forgot my earbuds. That's when things started to feel different. That night, the silence wasn't comforting. It was expectant. Every little sound, magnified. The distant drip of a leaky faucet, the groan of the building settling, sounded too loud, too close. I found myself pausing, listening, waiting for something, though I didn't know what. It was a prickle on the back of my neck. I was cleaning a classroom on the second floor, wiping down desks, when I saw it. Just a flicker at the edge of my vision. In the hallway, at the very end, where the light from my room barely reached, something moved. Not a shadow, not a draft. A distinct motion. I froze, my hand still on the desk. I told myself it was just my imagination, playing tricks in the dark. Years of solitude had finally caught up to me. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. When I looked again, it was gone. The hallway was empty, just as it should be. But the prickle on my neck intensified, and the silence felt colder now, less welcoming. I finished that classroom quickly, almost frantically, and moved on. As I pushed my cart down the hall, I kept glancing over my shoulder. Each time I turned, I half expected to see it again. Nothing. Just the long, empty stretch of lockers, their dark reflections staring back at me. Later, I was heading down to the ground floor. I just stepped onto the landing when I heard a distinct, rhythmic scuttling sound from the floor above. It was light, almost like fingernails tapping quickly on linoleum, but too heavy for a mouse. It was coming from the hallway I had just left. My blood ran cold. I stopped dead, straining to listen. The scuttling stopped. Silence. Absolute heavy silence. I stood there for a full minute, holding my breath, before slowly, carefully, continuing down the stairs. My heart was pounding, a drum in my chest, and I felt foolish for being so scared. It had to be just a loose pipe or an old building noise. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. I went to the teachers, lounged to grab a coffee, hoping the routine would ground me. As I poured the murky brew, I caught a glimpse of movement in the reflection of the glass door. Something tall, impossibly thin, standing at the far end of the hallway by the science labs. It wasn't a human silhouette. Not a janitor, not a student. Its limbs seemed to bend at unnatural angles, too long, too spindly. Its head was too small for its body. And what should have been eyes were deep, shadowed hollows that receded into darkness. I froze, coffee cup halfway to my lips. It was standing absolutely still, watching me. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. We just stood there, separated by the length of the hall, me in the harsh fluorescent light of the lounge, it in the deep shadows by the science labs. A cold dread seeped into my bones. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only a few seconds. Then, with a sudden, jerky movement, it turned its head slightly, as if listening. And for the first time, I felt a wave of pure, unadulterated terror. It wasn't just watching me. It had heard something else. Something closer to me, perhaps. It took one slow, deliberate step towards me. Its movement wasn't smooth, but a series of unsettling, almost insect-like shifts. Each joint seemed to articulate independently, giving it a disjointed, predatory grace. The deep hollows where its eyes should be seemed to deepen, swallowing even more of the faint light. That was my breaking point. I dropped the coffee cup. It shattered on the linoleum with a crash that echoed through the silent building. The figure flinched, then stopped moving altogether, freezing in place. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. I ran through the deserted hallways, past classrooms and lockers, the sound of my own footsteps hammering in my ears. I didn't care about my cart, or my duties. I just needed to get out. I sprinted for the main entrance, fumbling with the keys, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped them. Finally, the lock clicked. I burst out into the cool night air, gasping for breath, not daring to look back at the dark, silent school behind me. I didn't stop running until I reached my car, threw myself inside, and slammed the door shut, locking it with a frantic click. I sat there for a long time, engine running, heater blasting, trembling uncontrollably. I told myself it was my mind playing tricks. Stress, exhaustion, the quiet. But deep down, I knew what I had seen. It wasn't a trick of the light, it was real. And it was inside. I quit my job the next morning. Couldn't bring myself to go back. I still get shivers thinking about it. About that gaunt, wrong-jointed thing. Those hollow eyes. The way its mouth opened. I still don't know what it was, or why it was there. But sometimes, when I'm alone in my apartment at night, I swear I hear a faint, rhythmic scuttling from the attic above.